A few days ago, Christy and I were at a Milwaukee Brewers game. We had snagged some really good seats. We were really close to the field in between third base and left field. And we saw a sight that you often see at games. There was a father with his young son. The son was maybe 4 years old, had this little head, but a really big Brewers baseball hat on that was way too big for his head. And they were seated several rows behind us, but kind Milwaukeeans just encouraged him. Even the usher did in between innings because the boy had his baseball mitt on. He wanted to get a ball, was hoping he would get a ball. So he was encouraged to walk up to the railing at the field level down the aisle in between innings when the outfielders were warming up playing catch, and maybe he would get a ball. And sure enough, a few innings into the game, the kind player comes over and places a ball in his mitt, and you could just see the awe and wonder on this little child's face. He immediately took the ball out in his hands and was just staring at it, marveling at it, as his father escorted him back to their seats several rows behind us. He must have not been able to keep that ball in his mitt most of the game, because several innings later, now towards the end of the game, he dropped it and it rolled down several rows. We didn't know this at the time, but all of a sudden we're watching the game in our section and the little boy comes down and he's looking for his ball, and you can see the sadness and the fear on his face, like, oh no, what did I do? His dad was with him. So again, being really good Milwaukeeans, several of us got up and started looking through the rows, or telling each other, the rows in front of us, to look underneath their feet if they happened to find a baseball. And after some looking, sure enough, again, a few rows ahead of us, there was a dad who looked down, found the ball, held it up, and the boy came running to him. He placed the ball in the boy's mitt, and the whole section erupted in applause for the kindness and the compassion. I suspect the little boy knew this, but he was caught up in a web of kindness and compassion. It wasn't earth-shattering by any means. After all, it was just a baseball. But also, after all, it was so much more than that, thanks to the web of compassion that surrounded this child. I think along those lines of that powerful scene in the 5th chapter of Luke's Gospel, where Jesus is teaching in a house, and there's a man who's bedridden who can't get to see Jesus to be healed. But he gets caught up in this web of compassion by friends and neighbors who end up carrying him on his mat, making a hole in the roof and lowering him down so that he can be healed by Jesus. A whole lot more work than looking for a baseball under a seat, but a web of compassion that was life-giving and life-changing. And within all of that is a holy invitation to pause and pray on our Easter journeys of life and faith, and reflect on where it is that we have experienced ourselves caught up in holy webs of compassion and kindness. Maybe it was in a small thing, like a friend helping us look for something we lost, like we did at the baseball game a few days ago. Or maybe it was a much larger and more impactful experience than that, like a web of love and support that surrounded us when we were going through a crisis in our lives. And either way, marvel at the gift of Easter, that web of life and compassion is so wide that it can stretch so far beyond anything life can throw at us. Easter peace and blessings to you all.